If you want to go. All right, rock and roll. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the hiatus. We have unintentional, very much, always. We have missed you. A lot of you have been jumping in on our Palm Street events and hanging out with us. But here we are. We're back with a very exciting topic. It's definitely my fault. Sorry, that's what happens when you try to tackle projects. And that's how it works. But this is very exciting, guys. So if you guys have been following our content, I think it's pretty obvious, like our sole purpose in all of this has always been to further our understanding. And this has been actually a very selfish endeavor in the sense that like we're on a quest to kind of understand these animals. The arachnid sector of the industry has, I think, for both of us, is not where we started. And I think it's fair to say that we've been very hungry in our approach and understanding of arachnids and inverts in general. And I think ever since we got our start, you know, we come from a reptile and amphibian background. Jessica is a zoologist. I'm a schmuck who got lucky, but had to very quickly understand the world of. We've done this for a very long time. And you know, furthering animal welfare and bettering that like was our job for quite some time, and trying to understand that and apply science and kind of check ourselves every step of the way was kind of like our role for quite a while when we worked for zoos. And then as hobbyists, you know, we kind of carried that mentality forward. And when we got started with the invertebrates, you know, I think we've never really had the staple view of how to care for them. And we've noticed some things behaviorally that are quite different from what is, I guess, commonly, you know, expressed, and then at least copied and pasted on a care guide, you know. So with that, with all of this, our background, our observations, you know, we've set out on a quest to kind of like show that there's something else going on here with these animals, you know. And a lot of this stuff, you know, in fact, animal science has known for quite some time, but it's been kind of our mission to translate that into the hobby and kind of break things down and show hobbyists how these animals behave and how behavior relates to natural history. So with all of that being said, remember, this is just an intro. Yeah. The point is, that's what we're all about, because I feel like this topic is a little bit controversial, and we've not really partnered, but we've met someone who's actually sharing our same passion and our understanding and wants to provide the hobby with a product that actually we're very excited about. To be honest, if I wanted to do this myself, I don't think I could have done it better. And Casey's a great guy, and I'm very excited to have him on. So today, our guest is Casey with Sol Reptile, and he is sharing with us a prototype, a product that he has lent us for review. And I just wanted to have him on because, to be honest with you, he's going to answer some questions that I have, and I felt like it was best if he did that live and we all learn together. We can learn directly from him rather than like through the filter of us learning from him. Exactly. So let's just have the same questions that a lot of our followers and customers have too. Exactly. So here we are. So without further ado, welcome to Spiders After Sunset. This is Power of the Soul. There he is. Casey's on. Hello, Casey. Here, you get in the center. Okay, I'll move. Hello. Shoot. I don't know if we can hear you. Casey, are you muted? Let me see if we can bring you on. There we go. That was my. There you are. Sorry, right. Casey. We got you now, buddy. Guys, please let us know if there's any issues with audio. We will fix it. Again, we are doing this live. Jessica is forcing herself out of the photo. Listening, like, and subscribe. Just stopping by to say hello. Thank you so much, Frank. We appreciate you. Watch the replay. Rob's here. Says Frank's here. Sarah M says woo. Yeah, that's hey guys. Mother. That's awesome. Casey, I don't know about you, but if you guys can tell from our faces, we are hot.
Oh,
it is
really?
Hot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're sweating, man.
I'm all AC, so. Oh gosh.
We're at 70% humidity and 78 degrees Fahrenheit, so we're cooking. Yeah, it's not too hot, but yeah, we're not complaining. I'm just saying that's why we look.
The sweat and glow on her face.
Yeah, we're glowing. So, anyway, Casey, my friend, thank you so much for joining us. I think let me just kind of briefly kind of share with everyone the story here. So, you had reached out to me via Facebook Messenger, and let me bring this up here. I'll let you tell the story about Sol Reptile, but as far as I was concerned, I had heard of your business, and you reached out to me, and you said that you had watched or listened to a podcast of ours with Richard from the Tarantula Collective regarding heating and thermal regulation and natural history and things like that. And from that, you had said that you were inspired to create a product specifically for the invertebrate sector that helps aid in heat and light and things like that, right?
That's right.
Rob says Ryan has been missing himself.
I look like I've been misting myself, seriously. And then you said, hey, I'd love to send you a couple things. Oh, perfect. Thank you. That actually felt really nice. Can you do that again? And then you said, hey, I've got some prototypes I want to send you to check out. If you like them, great. If you don't, give me some feedback. But more or less, you were ready to like throw these into production. And this is a example of that product here. Can you guys see that? Yep. So essentially just a bracket with a mounting solution and a ceramic socket with a halogen bulb. And then, of course, in line with this cord is like a toggle switch, on-off toggle switch, right? Yep. And I received these, and we've been testing them out. And I said, hey, man, these are awesome. I've given you some feedback. And here we are. I figured let's like learn together. I have more questions for you. So why don't you real quick go ahead and tell everyone about yourself and let everyone know your relationship to the industry and Sol Reptile, when that got started.
Sure. So like everybody, grew up kind of catching lizards and snakes and actually even tarantulas. I grew up in Los Angeles, and we do have tarantulas in the hills. So I had I can't remember which Aphonopelma. I keep looking to see if I can identify from the old pictures, but I had caught and kept an Aphonopelma when I was like 8 and kept it for 3 or 4 years. And I think it was a mature male. I caught it out walking around, but it had eventually died. But I kept it for about 3 years when I was a kid.
It's pretty good for a mature male. Yeah.
So it did grow. So I think I maybe have caught it when it was a juvenile or so. But
okay, a little younger.
Obviously, as an 8-year-old, the care looking back wasn't the best, but
we all learned. Yeah.
Exactly. And then in my 20s, I really just kept like a ball python for a big part of my 20s, and then gave that to a friend, and didn't have anything for a while till maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. Got some dart frogs, and then that kind of just not spiraled, but it went from there. I just somebody in a community group found a bearded dragon in their yard, so I went and swooped that up, and I was only going to keep it to see if we could find the owners. That never happened, and kind of that drove me down the lighting, because dart frogs, it's more about plant lighting almost with dart frogs, what you see in the industry, even though now people are starting to talk about UV a little bit more. It tends to be plant light driven for most of it. So getting the bearded dragon kind of put me down the road of reptile lighting in general. And became friends with Thomas Griffiths, who is, super knowledgeable expert for lighting and best.
Yeah, can you do me a favor and kind of share a little bit about Thomas? I've never worked with him myself, but I am very familiar with who he is and what he does. Can you kind of shed a little bit of light on who that man is? Because that's going to tie into your product here.
So Thomas actually works for zoos in Europe, designing lighting for them, not even just for reptiles. Right now he's doing a project for giraffes, because their lack of UV is actually causing problems with giraffes kept in the far north where he's out in England.
Interesting.
So he does that. He also consults for all the major reptile lighting brands, Exoterra, Reptisun, everybody, Arcadia. He does the consulting for basically everybody.
Yes.
And is just, I mean, the guy to go to for anything lighting related. All the big boys send him the product, and then he tells them what's good and what's not good, and they have to redo it.
I can confirm this. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. Exoterra does do that. They did do that with their recent Terra Sky UV that we were kind of excited about. Same thing. So
he actually developed the new T5 that Exoterra put out, which is a great T5. He was like completely part of the team that created the phosphor, and which essentially creates that spectrum that light puts out. And it's an excellent UVB spectrum. It's as close to sun as you're going to get right now. So yeah, he's been a great help to me and a good friend, and has done a lot. Just willing to help me for free, learn all this stuff and give me information. And
amazing.
It's been great.
Yeah, super valuable.
So it was actually through him that I kind of started the company. There was a gap in the market, which is now being filled by multiple people, me included, hopefully soon here.
Sure. That's the way it works. Yep.
Yeah, people jump on. Reptiles and amphibians, they have a UVA cone where they can see the longer wavelength UVA1 we call it. And no lights, no LEDs were including that UVA. So to reptiles and amphibians, all the LEDs you're putting in there just look colored to them. It would be the equivalent of you having a big bright red light in your house, and it just does not feel natural at all. So I, with his help, developed an LED that provides a spectrum of UVA1 that's proportionate to the our visual portion. So it looks like sunlight to them. And
which is, you could imagine, it's important.
It's a big deal.
Sun goes up, sun goes down, and the sun comes up. I get to be a diurnal frog. When the sun goes down, I get to go to sleep. Right? It's very simple, but Zach, hey, good to see you, bud. Keep going, bud.
It can be, if they're not seeing things properly, if everything looks tinted and shaded, it can cause problems with feeding. It can cause problems with all kinds of normal processes that to them
100%.
Is just more difficult because they can't see very well. They were designed to have those UVA cones stimulated.
Right, which is very apparent with the way a dart frog feeds. Like, they're very visually acute.
Yeah,
right? So
completely.
You can imagine. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's also, as I was developing this product, started reading studies. There's tons of stuff it does for plants as well. I noticed when I put it on my dart frogs, all my bromeliads just started sprouting pups, like all over the place. So, and
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I almost never get pups out of my bromeliads. And I put it on, and like 2 months later, they're just bing, 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 bing. I was really impressed with it. So there's a lot of advantages to this, adding UVA1 to your spectrum there. And that kind of started the business, was me developing that product. And in the interim, I just kept thinking of ideas. So the heat light I make, the Omni Heat, was kind of the first thing I put out, and just sells. That's what I sell more than anything. But looking to have.
Now, when you say Omni Heat, I'm asking for myself. Is that a fixture, or is that a fixture and a bulb, or?
It's a fixture, yeah. So it's a
that's the other one
you can mount it in your enclosure, and you can point it anywhere you want. Because the whole idea is we're trying to overlap light, and being able to aim the light really helps with being able to overlap all your light sources that you need.
I agree, 100%. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so and then
I actually have that fixture you sent me set up. I just so happen to have a bulb for that, and I have that over one of my spiders right now. It's actually great. I kind of retrofitted one of your magnets to make that work, because all of my racks are stainless steel. So
that'll work.
It's actually perfect. So I do like the versatility of the Omni Heat. I think it's great. So anyway, keep going. I didn't interrupt.
It works for screw-in LEDs as well. So a lot of people use them for their Sanseas, and then this new product Faunalux that came out that does provide UVA1. A lot of people are buying them for those as well. So it's being able to aim your light is it's great. It's a big advantage.
Versatility, man. I've been saying it for years. You're right.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Like, because every keeper's situation is different. Every enclosure is different. Every animal is different. Every environment is different. So versatility is huge. And that's what got me excited about your prototypes is the versatility, because you need it. You absolutely have to have it. It doesn't really matter what taxa you're working with. The versatility just helps, and helps prevent accidents too. So
prevent accidents and just makes everything more effective.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a little bit of background on you there, and then moving forward, you were telling me before we started that you do keep invertebrates yourself, right? So you are a little bit familiar with their husbandry and some of the different species and things like that.
I do. I mostly keep arboreals, so tarantulas and true spiders as well. I've got some huntsmans and velvets, and I think that's it, right? Well, and we have jumpers too. But everybody's got jump. Mostly tarantulas though. Mostly arboreal tarantulas. So a lot from the Avicularia genus, Carabina versicolor, Postalitharia, things, anything arboreal. That's kind of what we love here. So
likewise. Yeah. So in your experience with working with the inverts, I'm just curious to know, I'm curious to know how other keepers interface with this hobby and how they perceive a lot of the information that's already out there, and how they apply that to their own husbandry techniques. So you keep all these different species. I know how I keep everything you just said. But can you describe to me, have you, with the knowledge that you have you noticed, I guess what I'm trying to say, was it odd to you when you heard my conversation with Richard, or was that something that you had been applying yourself?
At that point, I had not been applying it, but when I heard the conversation, and I was already kind of such a light nerd about reptiles and amphibians, as soon as you were, I was like, of course, these are animals that live out in nature. Why would they not be get benefits from having some form of sun, some form of light? It just made perfect sense to me. Yeah. And so hearing you talk, I was like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. And not only does it make sense, after looking into it further, there's tons of science to back it up. So
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Good. Okay. Good to know. Because, here's the truth. If you do some digging, you'll realize that science that dates back to the 70s or earlier, kind of talks about thermal preferences and photosensitivity and, everything along those lines, outside the hobby as it pertains to specifically tarantulas, but you can look at this science. It goes back quite a bit of ways, for invertebrates. I just think the translation from science to hobby has taken some time, and it's still not quite there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you actually do some digging and you want to dig, it's all there. So that's really interesting. Okay, so you hear our conversation, and then obviously with your knowledge of herps and your knowledge of kind of the market and products, you just decide, hey, I'm gonna have my hand at this. There's a need, clearly, right? Which you're opportunistic, right? Which I appreciate. Thank you. I cannot. Let me back up. I cannot thank you enough for this, because we had thought about tackling something like this ourselves, but we do not have time. So
there's a lot of potential.
There is so much potential with this. It has to be done correctly, and it has to be done safely and slowly because of the atmosphere. But it does make. I'm so thankful. So you design this product, you send it to me. Again, here's a little shot for everyone. Just this. That's all it is. Something very simple. And I have to ask you, what is this? What is this frame made out of?
It's aluminum. It's powder.
That's all it is?
Yeah, it's anodized aluminum. So black anodized aluminum. Yeah, so shouldn't, no rusting, no, should hold up really well under any conditions. Yeah.
Yes, it's got a really nice finish to it. Almost looks like brushed steel. But it's anodized black. The cool thing about this little clamp is that it is it's
Adjustable.
telescoping, I suppose you could call it
Yeah.
that, to adjust for height, and that is important because you want to be able to adjust not only for the enclosure size, but like the source distance to the animal distance. I don't know. We can come up with an abbreviation for that. I feel like that's kind of the code here. Is like what we need to work on. In case maybe we can work on that. But like the bulb to the animal distance, like you can make some adjustments depending on your enclosure size. And I think we talked about versatility earlier, and I think it's perfect. Perfect. So on this, now we're utilizing halogen bulbs, right, for this?
Right. Yeah. GU10s. Yeah.
GU10s. Now GU10, and I'm just going to catch everyone up here. GU10 is like the type of bulb. See these little prongs here? That's kind of what that's referring to. And if you look at inside this little socket,
Might help if you put your hand behind it.
maybe.
No,
Yeah,
maybe not.
maybe not. Anyway, the point is like it's not like what you would screw in to like an incandescent fixture. It's got these little nodes, right? And that's what he means when he says GU10.
Yeah.
And they just basically insert and twist.
Yeah, I went with those because they're small, and they've got a reflector built in, which is great. It directs the light, and as well, halogen capsules. When halogen capsules are not shielded by like, that the glass there, they actually produce dangerous UVC. So you can't have just unprotected halogen capsules.
Now, can you share with us why UVC is harmful? Like what that might do? I know we know what it does to reptiles and their vision and things like that. Can you just touch on that?
Yeah.
And mammals?
So
can you touch on that?
In nature, UVC on Earth, UVC doesn't exist. The atmosphere filters all the UVC from the sun out. So it's super high energy wavelength that essentially can start knocking pieces of your DNA off and really, leads to cancer pretty quickly.
Okay. So no good, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
On these bulbs, obviously you want the filter. It doesn't take much to filter them out, but basically
a little bit of glass. Yep.
Don't break the filter. And
Right.
if you do break that, throw the bulb away.
And they do make, so here's something to keep it, they do make these GU10s without the glass, and those are dangerous. So I would hate for somebody to buy one of mine and put one of these bulbs that does not have the glass. They market them a lot of time for reptiles as like, oh, it's UVB, and it's really dangerous. They're not good bulbs to have around at all. So you want to always make sure whatever bulbs you use, they've got to have like a glass face like that.
Okay, very good to know. And that's something like if this product ever does go to market, like we'll just you would have to just be very clear. Little asterisks.
Rob's comment here.
Yeah, go ahead and put that on.
Can you read that? No, I picked
Translation
the
from
worst spot.
science to hobby. It also gets misinterpreted, and the hobby still around stuff. Yeah. So, excellent point, Rob. And this is why we have learned that we have to be very careful with what we say. And even if we're super careful and very thorough, people like to also pick and choose what they want to hear and what they want to apply. It's very dangerous and it's very silly. But you're right. The I think honestly that's where the holdup is the translation from the wild to the captivity and what that looks like. It's like where do you draw the line? And I think over the years we've been refining where that line is. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah. And that's kind of like that's why I like this product, because it's an easy transition in my eyes to what happens in the wild and how we can replicate that in captivity. To us, to a lot of us attempt to, right? Exactly. And as I'm sure if you guys are following along, you'll understand that there's a lot of nuance to this. And I think that's a huge takeaway is that, and we'll get more into the weeds here in a minute. But it's not just so much, the animal is alive. The animal is at my room temperature, whatever that might be, completely ignoring where that animal comes from. And it's fine. So we hear this all the time. And Casey, maybe you do too. It's like the animal's fine. Why do more? Don't complicate it.
Yeah.
Okay, we've heard that we've heard that our whole careers.
Yeah.
And the answer is it's not that simple. You know, husbandry is not simple. Nature, the complexity of nature is not that simple. The interface, the interaction these animals have with their environment is not simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm specifically talking to a group of people right now. If your solution or if your answer to like everything that you're seeing as far as like husbandry advancement in the invertebrate world, if your answer to that is like it works as it is, don't complicate it, and you're not considering natural history and you're not considering thermal regulation, you're not considering how you might be able to help your animals in a beneficial way with like heat application, I think you're ignoring that concept. You know what I mean? Like I think it's not that simple. And what we're trying to do here is make a little more complex. We're taking a very basic concept, and we're trying to introduce a little bit of complexity in a way that's easy to understand. Right? I think that's what this does. And I think there's another little layer to this I want to talk about here, Casey, in a second. But thermoregulation in invertebrates is just as important as it is in reptiles. You know, I think thankfully invertebrates are a little more resilient when it comes to, I guess, surviving, right? But thermoregulation is just as important, right? They are ectotherms, they are poikilotherms. These animals require higher elevation, or not higher elevation, higher body temperatures when they're molting, after they eat. You know, all those things are just as important to a tarantula as they are to a reptile. And I think there's a lost in translation that happens when, you know, you think of reptile husbandry, nobody second guesses it. Yeah, they need a heat lamp, right? We're not saying that a tarantula needs a heat lamp, but what you're missing there is they need elevated temperatures, right? And that can come in many forms.
A thermal gradient.
A thermal gradient, right? Like something to potentially
access to it. Yeah.
Access to it,
Exactly.
right? Thank you, Casey. Yeah, and that's what we call good welfare, right? That's giving the animals choice, and to think that the animals don't capitalize on that choice is foolish. That's incorrect, because they absolutely do, and you see it all the time. I mean, we see it every day on the Facebook groups and things like that. Like they are, in many cases, not all, but they are seeking elevated temperatures, and like they want access to that. Go ahead, Jess.
Stephanie says the answer should be why not, as in I think the context was why not, like, you know,
right,
look to
further.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
to progress.
To progress.
Exactly.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Should always be in progress. Yeah.
And you know, I think a lot of people tend to get locked into this idea that they don't need it and it's potentially dangerous. You know, Casey, a lot of an uphill battle you're going to face with something like this is there's 30 years of you're going to kill your animal.
Yeah.
It's the animal cannot regulate itself. This is a death sentence.
Right.
And unfortunately, that is so far inaccurate. That's like not true at all, right? Like it's you know, and so what we're trying to do is untie all of those very tightly wound knots. It's like no, like this is a tool. How you apply it is what determines what happens to your animal. Like there's nothing wrong inherently with this device. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but we got to get this out. Like this device, in fact, is designed by Casey to progress. It's to help your animal, right? And in many cases, like in our case, which is so funny because Jessica and I keep this room, as you can see from our sweaty faces, warmer than most rooms. And we still use
rooms anyway.
And we still use these devices because it benefits our animals. So I just want you guys to, on a basic level, Casey, I know to you this sounds ridiculous, but I want everyone to understand that like these are still very useful, depending on the species and your setup and your setting, right? Okay, now Casey, I want to get back to you. I told you I didn't want to talk that much, and here I am rambling. I mentioned to you that I would like to see this product offered with a dimmer, because we're always talking about control. And you briefly said something to me that I didn't quite understand. And you said, no, I don't want to do a dimmer, and here's why, and I didn't understand. So I kind of want to ask you here, like, why would you, historically, when I've used halogen bulbs, I've always used these with a dimmer because I want complete control, right?
Right.
You said,
So,
I don't think so, and I would like you to tell everyone why that is.
sure. So, and this applies across the board to all living things. So the more you dim an incandescent or halogen bulb, the cooler it gets, and it starts pushing the energy coming from it further into longer and longer wavelengths. And those wavelengths are a lot less bioavailable. Infrared A, which is...
What does that mean?
So, so heat that we experience from the sun comes in the form of mostly infrared A, a little bit of infrared B. Infrared C, we tend to get from the Earth bouncing heat back up. But the sun's energy is mostly producing infrared A. So that's what life forms on Earth use as energy. So there's been studies on this. It's the same exact metabolic process for fruit flies as it is for rats, as it is for reptiles. It increases production of ATP and stimulates the mitochondria and just does that whole, what is it, the electron train. I'm not a biologist, but there's the production of ATP, which is your cell, kind of your energy currency for your body, for all living things, for fruit flies, for everything. The only way you get that is from infrared A. If you're just supplying heat, that's great, and they will thermoregulate, but you're not getting the benefits of infrared A. And studies on fruit flies have they've shown that it's increased the fruit flies' longevity by 100 to 175%, like huge, and reduces aging in these animals. So having access to infrared A, I like to think of it less as I'm providing heat and more like I'm providing light energy to them. So that's actually why I made it so it can slide up and down. That's how you can control. If it's too hot, if it's too much, you can bring it way up here. So it's much less
Which
heat.
I did.
Yeah, so that you're still providing infrared A. So, and I actually have a meter that tests all this, and I could even do some math and give you the exact amount of photons coming out, infrared A photons coming out of it, these different bulbs. And I did a lot of playing around with it. So it was a lot of playing around with different heights, different bulbs, different things, and measuring with this and watching their behavior to kind of come to like, okay, it really shouldn't be lower than this, and it probably never needs to be higher than that.
Now, when you said you watching their behavior, you tested this on your animals before you sent this to me?
Absolutely. So I've tested and versions of this even. So this is kind of the more refined version. I had a lot of crude versions that I just kind of cobbled together. So I've actually I'm a general contractor by trade. I build homes, custom homes, and I've actually been building lights for wealthy clients for like 15 years now. So building lights has kind of been, I've always done it, but now we can apply to those. So
good to know. I did not, guys, I did not know this. We're learning together. Okay. This is why I wanted to do this. That's great. I think that's great. Okay. Keep going.
So I would apply these, kind of crudely put together lights and just try different distances, different strengths, watch their behavior. And what do you know? They 100% bask. Like they will 100% go look for the light, hang out in it for a while. And then when they feel good, go walk somewhere else and do something else. Especially after eating, you see it. It's pretty incredible.
It is, and have you had any accidents with your animals? Like, have your animals killed?
So
have they cooked themselves? Like, have you noticed that?
No,
I've
not had that happen. I understand it has happened to people. I know.
Yeah, but in your experience, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I've not had it happen. I've not had it happen. Never seen it.
Amazing. All right, keep going.
Yeah. The basking behavior is really like, because when I first heard you on Richard's podcast, it was that went to like, well, I should do something. And I put together some crudely put together lights. And that's actually been, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. I've had lights on my tarantulas now from the time you did the you know, I can't remember. You did the podcast like over a year ago, well over a year ago.
I don't even remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
been like that. I've been using lights on them and would never ever go back. Like they so clearly use them. It's so obvious.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Well, the reason I get excited about this is because like you noticed a tremendous difference in behavior.
Yeah.
Immediate, and you said you would never go back, and I feel the same exact way, and I'm so passionate about this topic. This is so wonderful because it's like keeping different animals. Their behavior is entirely different, and I think you can attest to that because and then you say like, this is why I'm so excited, is because like I could not imagine keeping any of our spiders without this stimulus.
Right.
I couldn't without the option to have it because of how they respond to it, and like the longevity and our mortality rate. It's all so low. Like, and you know,
it's got to be why.
I see them all the time. The animals are always out. It's not like we have to go digging for anything.
That
you
too,
know,
the Heidi, like as soon as I started doing this, all the Heidi guys would come out, and I finally you get to see all your animals. That's I think one of the biggest benefits. Even if you're doing this for purely selfish reasons, that's a great one. You know, see your
animals. Yeah. No, I agree. It makes it's like it's almost like the hobby is looking at these animals through a keyhole, and what you're talking about and like what we've experienced, it's like you just blow the whole roof off the whole house, and it's just like it's so different, and the animals behave so different, and you know, I love these animals, so I want everyone to experience this. You know, you can't, but that comes with its own caveats. It's like you do have to pay attention. You have to be mindful of how much heat you're giving the animals, and
it can be done wrong. Certainly,
Yes, it can be. Go ahead.
Yeah, it can be done wrong.
Go ahead.
Certainly, like, you know, in the past, everybody, you know, in the 80s was putting reptile lights and baking their tarantulas, and like now light in general has a bad rap because a bunch of people were being dumb. So you know,
which is I'm so glad you mentioned that, which is like very clearly, obviously, what happened, right? Like it was accidents. People, it was accidents.
Improper application.
Well, you're right. From accidents, from improper application, and that's those dogmas, those myths, like that, they still persist today because of accidents. And that can happen with any taxa.
I'm sorry, this font is awful. I don't know how to change it.
It's okay. Okay, let's go ahead and read it without giving away your lightings. Go ahead.
Sure. So there's a biologist by the name of Glenn Jeffries that did most of the studies on infrared on all kinds of different animals. And insects. So I know I read the fruit fly study, but I know he's done a couple other invertebrates as well. But he saw the same metabolic process happen across the board. The mitochondria get stimulated, increased ATP, reduced aging. It's just across the board with any living creature is what he saw in his studies.
Okay. Yeah, and you could imagine specifically with an ectotherm, and then if you want to break it down, another category, poiculotherms, you know, tarantulas, or like animals that actively modify their behavior to thermoregulate. Like it just makes sense, right? You know, it's like you said, it's really not something that's up for debate. It's just you know, how do we give them the right stimulus to like let them do that naturally, safely, right? That's always the goal.
Safely is big. Yeah.
And
obviously you can't. You know, you're not going to set one of these on a slings enclosure, slings little, you know, something like that. But for adults with a good size enclosure, this is only giving a patch of heat, you know, maybe the size of a fist or so right there. And they can get away from it anytime they want to. And they will when they want to.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Again, historically, every time I've used a halogen basking bulb, I've put a dimmer on it. And I didn't with this. Per your recommendation, and I just adjusted the height I needed. I used a little temp gun just to kind of see, and it's really interesting. I've sent you some pictures of that. We had a female terrestrial species, Harpactira pulchripes, that just had a sac hatch, and she did so without the bulb, right? But we put the bulb on, and I just wanted to see. And I don't know how many pictures I've sent you at this point, but like every day the bulb comes on because it's on a timer, and the animals come out, all of them, babies and mom, all come out of their burrow and sit right under it. And we've temped that anywhere from 83 to 89 to like 95, right? And they're sitting under it. And, you know, with that, some people are saying like, okay, let me just be very clear. Not one animal has died yet. Okay. And the reason for that is because we're paying attention to what's happening. And we're also, we're taking note. We're using a stimulus, and we have an element that's heating the enclosure. So like we're obviously replacing the moisture that's lost, right? Everything's being misted.
Everything out.
Everything's being temped, right?
Like
so
the surface of the entire enclosure, the surfaces of the burrow. I don't know if they can hear me. They probably can hear me. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is that we're being careful. And you know, we've posted this on social media, and we've had some people comment. And I'll be honest, like what this tells me is that within the confines of their safe space, their burrow, it's not hot enough. And again, it's 78, probably in their enclosure, it's at probably close to 80, you know, without that basking bulb. And what that's showing me is like they're driven out of their safe space, babies, mama, and all, to facilitate a natural metabolic process, right? Mom is just wanting to get warm. She just had babies. She's been feeding. Babies are obviously growing. They're about to molt. They're about to be fuzzy little tarantulas, right? Keep in mind, they're still little nasty looking first instars, right? And they're still mobile. And even at that size, outside the egg, they are still capable of thermal regulation. And I see it every day. They come out of the burrow, and it's not like that light is right on the burrow hole entrance. It's like they are coming out and seeking that out. So clearly, what that tells me is like, man, like I'm not giving them enough. Now, the counter argument to that is like, well, they hatch without it, right? Why?
Right.
You know, like why? Why do anything? It's like, yeah, but that's not what husbandry is. Like that. I know that.
I would say welfare is a spectrum.
Welfare is absolutely a spectrum. And like, if you know, like the animals have access to this from South Africa, it's nothing but sun where they're from. If you are aware of this, and then, you know, we're letting you know, like the animals are clearly utilizing this natural stimulus, like it just makes sense. It makes sense to provide them with that. You know what I mean? Like, and they're doing that for a reason. And I think we'll have much less mortality rate with this stimulus,
or
like
potentially just faster growth,
like normal growth.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, little tangent. I love this, and I've taken your advice with this product.
Did you tell them that we're testing it on another species too?
We are, yeah. We're using it with our avix. We have a Avicularia drurensis that has one over it right now. So far, so good.
She's got a nice sack.
A lot of our avix do this little sun offering. They kind of take the egg sacs and like hold it to the sun. But they do that at a very particular stage. And she's not quite there. So 40 plus days we see them do that. And if you pay attention, like it makes sense to say they're doing that at a very particular stage where the babies are molting to the next life stage, right? Which would require more energy. So they're giving them that. So all this to say, Casey, nuance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, and you and I and Jess, we're all very much students ourselves. So something like this is very exciting to us. Well, how much are you gonna? Let's just say.
So
we put this into production. How much are we charging for this?
Yeah, trying to be in the neighborhood of about $25. So it'll have different mounting options, and depending on the mounting option, it might be a little more or a little less. But that's trying to be where I'm trying to keep it. That's why it's a very simple, stripped down kind of design.
It's so simple. Less is more.
Right.
I'm so glad to know this is aluminum. I thought it was like, I don't know what it was. I knew it wasn't steel. Yeah, aluminum's good. It's
Yeah.
light. It's very lightweight. You know.
Yeah, no,
So,
aluminum's great. It doesn't rust. It's light. It's
yes.
strong. It gets the job done.
Rob's laughing at you for saying nasty looking babies.
Oh, they are. Yeah, they look like little ticks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those terrestrial babies come out of the egg sac before they're fuzzy, so they look like little nasty little ticks. But
Not
Yeah.
nasty.
I guess
I've got
they'll-
a baby velvet spider that is very much looks
Oh
like a
yeah,
Oh, that's an excellent pick.
yeah, just like that. Yeah, but velvet's another one. Like we should experiment. We have
Oh,
one
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I bet they would be another one that would really appreciate that.
Very much.
I'm sure. Yeah, they love the heat. Mine's not big enough to do it yet, but I could almost guarantee an adult would absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so let's kind of be a little more general here. Like, if we're talking about this, you know, I think it's important to hit home that, you know, not every situation calls for this. And me personally, like, if you're looking for just a general light for your tarantula enclosure, like, I wouldn't say like this is not that. I would
It's
say
not
this has a very
good at light.
it's
It's
not.
not good at putting
Yeah.
out light. No. So a halogen, I mean, by default, 90% of the energy coming out of a halogen is in the form of infrared, and we only get
Okay.
10% of its energy in actual light. So the actual light itself is not very good, but
Okay.
the infrared is top quality. You know?
Boom. So I look at this as like a useful tool for a cooler room, or
Yeah.
you know, someone who's got a tropical species where, you know, they live in northern climates, or potentially they have a home where someone needs it set at 69 Fahrenheit, 68 Fahrenheit, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, something like this becomes your animal's friend.
Yeah.
That's how I see this. I don't think this is a necessity for every person, for every keeper, for every animal, for every enclosure, but I think that this can be a lifesaver for many animals, in a lot of different situations. Again,
A lifesaver, and just another way again to provide that option.
the option
choice. Yeah.
again, husbandry, welfare, things like that, like
Yeah.
increasing your welfare. And you can't tell any of us at this point that like they won't use it,
Right.
because there's a lot, like, we see it with our eyeballs, and not only that, we see it in nature.
Yeah.
Okay, they do this in nature. It's not like they're doing something in captivity you wouldn't see in the rainforest or in the desert. You know, it's they're facilitating a very natural behavior, and we're helping them do that with stuff like this.
Yeah.
So very important to point out. But this doesn't, like, if you need a light for like a photo period, so like sun comes up, sun goes down, how do I let them know when to be a spider and when to go to sleep or when to wake up? That's not necessarily the role of something like this. I would
Right.
still use like a LED
Yep.
something or
Yeah,
other.
I tend to have, because I have a lot of plants too, so I tend to have LEDs on basically all my spiders.
Now, what kind of LEDs do you like to use? Don't say your own.
No, yeah. Whenever, you know what, I can't even afford my own to have them on every single.
I was just gonna say
they're very expensive. And
Yeah.
actually, for when I have to do like a long bank, shockingly enough, Harbor Freight sells these plant LEDs that are like
Nice.
2-3 feet long and do the job really well. I've got like alocasias that are doing really well, and all
Nice.
kinds of plants that just seem to love it. I mean, it's not the best quality plant light in the world, but it works. I mean, it's not
What's
bad.
the color temperature on them? I'm curious.
Oh, I'm sure it's around like 6,000 or so. Yeah.
That sounds right. Okay. I like that.
Yeah, I try to, when I'm super concerned about it, like on my dart frogs, I'm a little more nerdy about it. I try to get it closer to 5,000 is kind of my preference for that. But, you know, the sun temperature ranges all day
The higher
long.
you get in that number, the more blue-white, and the lower, the more like yellow-orange.
That's
red,
right. That's right.
So that's what that means. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I like 6,000. I try to do both. Like if I could stagger both color temperatures.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I mean, throughout the span of a day, you know, the Kelvin reading you're going to get in the morning is going to be much lower, much closer to the 4,000 and maybe even 3,000 at dawn. You know, up in the middle of the sky when it's middle of the day, it's probably going to be closer to 6,000, and then goes back reverse when it's sunset. So you're getting different.
And you guys can see this
all day.
outside. Yeah. You can go outside and watch this happen if you have time. Like right now, it's much cooler. I'm looking outside right now. It does not look the same like it did this morning. And I think it's important to note too that like we're talking about nuance here. Like these are all triggers for diurnal, nocturnal, crepuscular animals to when to facilitate behaviors. Like right now, all of our animals, like I'm seeing legs, they're all coming out. You know what I mean? Because the lights are shutting out and like temperature's dropping, humidity's rising. God, so it's important to note like these are all triggers, and I bring this up because I want everyone who listens to this, whether you agree with this or not, to like understand it's more complex than what you might understand. And
it's also not.
It's none of this is complicated. Like tarantula, cold-blooded, wants to be warm. This helps. This helps. Okay, it's really that simple. But to think it's just shoebox, bone dry, water dish, room temperature, like you are incorrect. I don't care if you've done it for 30 years and your animals live and things.
Barely surviving.
It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. You know, I get really frustrated with that because we're learning more and animal science is already ahead of us and we know more. And
like we've mentioned before, we are taking advantage of their ability to be resilient.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and
less than ideal conditions.
And Casey, I'm really glad that you found our content and that you were inspired to do something like this. You did something I couldn't, and I'm really like humbled, like, and I'm happy for you. Like this is really cool. This is a really simple device.
No, I mean,
really
thank you
excited.
for leading the charge on this, and it's a huge deal. You're changing animals' lives by getting this out there.
A rambling idiot, man. No, this is awesome, and I hope you do this, man. I think there's a place for this. In the future, I want to help you with your marketing and like your terminology. Again, just to clarify, like Casey has given us no payment for this, and I will never accept any payment from Casey. I will take these prototypes if he lets me keep them. But I'm just genuinely excited that he wants to take this initiative and bring this to the market. And I think all animals can benefit from something simple like this. This is a lifesaver. That's how I see it. So, Casey, I hope you do this, dude.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's the plan. So I know we've discussed a few little minor tweaks. So I've got those in the work and kind of polishing those, and shouldn't be too much longer.
Okay.
Did you tell him how cool he looks with his little arc around his head?
I didn't, but it's beautiful. Yeah, your head's right in the middle of the sun. I do love your logo. Casey, kind of tell everyone what other products you have available and how they can find them, because I know a lot of these people keep herbs too. So let everyone know.
So
what you got going on.
right now, the only thing publicly available is the Omni Heat, which is the adjustable E26 fixture for heat lights and screw-in LEDs. So that's available on my website, solreptile.com. The LED, the UVA LED, has gone out to kind of a invitation only kind of group of about 50 people, and they're using those. I'm pinning down a factory. I just can't build. They're pretty complicated to build, and I don't have the time to build hundreds of them.
I believe you.
So I'm pinning down a factory. I've talked to 3 of them, and I'm narrowing it down. So those should be publicly available pretty soon. And this item should probably almost around the same time will be available as well. And I've got more stuff. I never stop thinking. So I've got more products in the works.
I love that, dude.
That I'm kind of developing, bouncing off of Thomas Griffiths. Hey, what do you think of this? Yeah, that would be great, and all kinds of things like that. So there will be more as well. We're still pretty new.
Is your focus? You are a new company, and I already like the way you do things. I like the way your brain works, and I love your packaging. I never was one to care about packaging because it just ends up in the trash. But your packaging is so nice. It just really, to me, it just speaks to like your ingenuity and how much you take this seriously. Are you going to stick with the lighting avenue? Like you're going to really, that's kind of going to be your niche, or what?
Lighting will be the bulk of it. I've got a misting system that I'm testing. It's a prototype that I've got on my Dumerril's boa.
Okay.
It works based off absolute humidity rather than relative humidity, because relative humidity is relative. So depending on where you're setting that probe, you know, really the amount of moisture in that enclosure is identical across the enclosure, but you're going to get vastly different readings depending on where that is in relation to your heat source. So this is a little
100%.
more foolproof. The absolute humidity reading it's absolute. It tells you exactly how much moisture is in that enclosure. So that's in testing. I've had it on for a couple months. Seems to be working great, but there's some aesthetic changes I'm going to make. And anything to improve the quality of life for animals is basically what I want to be doing. So.
Okay. Well, let me just say I'm very thankful that you decided to keep some spiders, because I think without that, this wouldn't have happened. As simple as this is, I just think that like your brain wouldn't have gone there. So I'm really happy. I don't know whose idea it was, but I'm glad you decided to keep tarantulas, and the right kind of tarantulas, if I be so bold to say. Yeah, let's go ahead and.
You can't change the font.
Yeah, sorry, Casey. Regarding color.
No, so I wouldn't replicate moonlight. Honestly, I would just shut off all the lighting. Moonlight, the lux on moonlight is incredibly low. And I could actually go get, so I've got meters to measure all kinds of things. I could actually get the moonlight, what color temperature it is. It probably does run slightly blue, but I would never ever put a blue light on any animal at night.
Yeah.
It just keep it dark.
I agree, 100%.
Question.
Some of the LEDs that we use in our room, I don't know if they're faulty or what the hell's going on, but they do, like they shut off, but you can see like there's a very faint glow, and it bothers me. I wish they would just shut off entirely. We're using those Barina.
Timers,
we're using those Barina LEDs. They have a very faint glow to them while they're off. I wish they didn't. They don't need moonlight. I don't think so. And honestly, when the moonlight is really bright in nature, like while that could be considered enrichment, like a lot of those animals don't come out
on bright moon.
On bright moon.
Nights,
That's when you need.
Right. Use red.
I'm creeping out.
Yeah, we use red LEDs on our headlamps when we're cruising around, and it doesn't really seem to bother them or affect them. They're more affected. Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, I don't think they have any receptors for red light.
Right. So. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. I need to school myself on that. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about moonlight. Geez, I mean, we could talk about this all night, to be honest with you. But I kind of want to keep it short and sweet. Anything else, Casey, that you want to add while we're here?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. Just hope we can push back on some of these dogmas and improve the lives of our animals and enrich their lives and make them live longer and healthier is really the goal here. So
that is the goal, yeah. And I'm so glad you said that. Go ahead, Jess.
Do you have sources like citations to any of the research that you do?
I've got some. I can send them over to you. Yeah.
Absolutely, we would love that.
Yeah, and we'll pin them in the description of the video just because I know people are going to ask. But while Jessica is a bit of a science nut, and science is great. That's how we move forward and learn. I also want to encourage everyone to use your eyeballs and to just observe your animals and use common sense and critical thinking and watch what's happening in front of you before you ask for too many citations and need scientific literature. Because to be honest with you, I think a lot of what we're seeing is right in front of our faces. And something like this is just giving them something that's very essential. And but science is good. I'm not discouraging anyone from that. Obviously, Jessica and Jessica more so. That's.
Do you want to mention the soil thing?
Nope. Nope. Soil depth absolutely decreases the amount of intensity that is reached to your animals when you're using basking lights. So if you have a fossorial animal, that's how they thermoregulate in the wild, and that's what you should give them in captivity. So just do that, okay?
Larry says common sense in 2025 LMAM.
I know, Larry. It's Tall order, I know.
Nice to see your name, Larry. Hey, how's it
All
going?
right, Casey, we won't keep you so much longer. Thank you so much for everything, dude. This is so freaking
Thank
cool.
you.
Right now, these are utilizing very strong magnets. I think we're gonna have a couple options potentially when
Yep.
these hit market. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe
Some
like a
clamps.
clamp and
Yeah,
okay,
awesome.
yeah. Magnets are fantastic if you guys have cats. You don't got to worry about cats knocking anything off with these magnets. So
Yeah. I've got 3 cats, and they would definitely do that.
okay, good. That was where my brain went. I'm like, cats ain't getting this off at all.
Yeah.
This thing's badass, dude. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for considering us, and thank you so much for what you do. This makes me so excited. I've been so burnt out lately on things, and this kind of reinvigorated my passion for what we do, and
Amazing information.
I really appreciate it.
Well, good
Excellent.
luck
Thank
with
you.
it. When will it be in the UK?
Oh,
I mean, I could probably ship to the UK, but the shipping wouldn't be cheap. I should probably find somebody over there that can take like a big chunk and sell them over there,
Yeah.
something like that. So hopefully,
where's
soon.
Thomas from? Couldn't Thomas help you with that?
I
Where's
doubt
he
he
from?
would have the time, really.
Oh, he's a busy dude.
He is a very busy. I think he's been in China for the last week. He's always
Oh my
being
gosh.
flown all over Europe for different zoos, and yeah.
Wow.
Dang. Must be nice.
Yeah, really.
That's cool. Yeah. If you want it that bad, I'm sure Casey can make it happen.
Yeah, we can figure something out.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, brother. All right,
All right.
everyone. We love you guys so much. Casey, thank you. We won't keep you.
Thank
We'll
you.
Jess will do a little closing remarks. But Casey, tell everyone where to find you and if you're on social media.
Yep. So solreptile.com is the website. Sol Reptile on Facebook, Instagram. Instagram game is pretty terrible, but I usually keep
Same.
up with Facebook. I'm a little more there.
Cool. Okay. All right, Casey. Thank you so much, brother. We will talk
Thank
very
you.
soon. Okay.
All right. Sounds
Thank
good.
you, bud. Appreciate you.
Talk to you later.
You too. All right. Jess, anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
Well, I did tell the people that we would give them a short recap on the application of heating elements and the safety and whatnot. So maybe
let's do it.
deliver on that.
Okay. So, like we talked about with Casey, real quick, guys, the application of heat is not necessarily something that you have to do. It is obviously very beneficial. It can be very beneficial, and in our case, with a lot of the animals we work with, it's very beneficial. It can be a detriment. If you're, I mean, again, this is common sense, but if it's real warm with where you're at, or the enclosure small, or things like that,
or you're working with a species that doesn't
like
necessarily experience
Poecilotheria highland,
yeah.
But yeah, cooler species, like you could really do some damage. So that's where like researching natural history comes into play,
and measuring temperatures with a temp gun.
And you should honestly, whether you're applying heat or not, like you should have a temp gun.
Always be aware.
And just see what your animal's experiencing. I just saw the other day a picture of a green bottle blue sling that's like about to molt on one of the Facebook groups, and it's like very clearly trying to seek elevated temperatures, and it's there's a thermometer in the enclosure or next to the enclosure, and it's 70 degrees. And I'm gonna tell you right now, like it might live and it might be okay.
GBB ever experiences 70 degrees in its natural habitat.
That ain't it, guys. Yeah. So it's just understanding things like that, and something like this. Go ahead, Jess.
I just wanted to mention, like, if this is your first time watching us, or you're still kind of new to like the application of heating and lighting, we do have a 3-part series on this whole topic. It's probably at least 30 minutes of information, just from our perspective, our point of view, from our experience, our education and experience. Please feel free to watch that YouTube series. If you go to our page, you can watch all the info. To kind of put all of this into perspective, get some context to all of this.
Yep. Yeah, because we do forget, for some of you, if you're seeing this for the first time, like everything we're saying is completely contradictory to everything you've ever read on the internet about keeping a spider. and we understand that. But we encourage you to take this seriously, and to do a little more digging, and to honestly just like look at all of our catalog, like our life's history as a business is online.
Yeah.
I encourage you, like we will shut the narrative down if you just follow everything we've ever posted and shared. It will show you that there's a lot more to this, and we hope you take it seriously, and that maybe you consider experimenting with these concepts, and
Yeah,
you'll be
that's
happy.
the thing. I think we haven't really nailed that point home in the past. Like, you don't have to like put 90-degree super powerful halogen bulbs on all of your tarantulas to
No,
be
in
a
fact,
good keeper.
in fact,
You can just test it out
yeah,
with
there you go.
with just an LED light and
Yeah.
just see what happens. And I think the evidence will kind of
You know,
convince you itself.
Yeah,
if we haven't
tarantulas
yet.
are very sensitive to thermal gradients, and they'll
Yeah.
show you. We always say behavior is a language, and they will show you exactly what they want. They'll tell you. Just watch them. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
I want to be warmer. Get me warmer.
Yeah.
Or I want to be cooler.
Yeah.
Get me cooler. They'll tell you. So just pay attention.
Rob said earlier, there's no way you Americans are keeping this to yourselves. He also says, Jess, there was a website you mentioned in a previous video where you can search for pigs in natural habitat. I can't remember what it was called. That is iNaturalist.org, and I'll put it in the chat right now. That's an excellent source.
Good point, Rob. I highly recommend that everyone checks out iNaturalist, and then enter in there the species that you're working with, and just, if hopefully, maybe not, but maybe there are firsthand accounts of people photographing that particular species in their native environment.
Yes. And if it's an undescribed species, you can always search by genus as well. It will show you all of the records for species within that genus, even undescribed ones. Some advice some sellers were giving at the show I went was advice from 20 years ago.
Yeah, we know. I'm sorry about that.
Yep.
It's very frustrating.
Yep. And even to this day, we're still getting a lot. Well, not a lot. We are
Not
still
a lot,
getting some
but
pushback.
it's still there.
And it's kind of strange.
It is. It's bizarre. It's like, why are we still arguing about this?
Mhm.
I will say, now that Casey isn't here, I can talk about this. These magnets are
very, very strong.
In fact, do not let them connect without something in between them. Okay. He might change those. I know he's working on a clamp, so like something that just has like a set screw.
We have a set that is still stuck together after putting in a vide.
Yeah. But if you have cats, you ain't gotta worry about nothing. A child is not even gonna rip this off. So good on Casey for. He obviously has cats. So I was gonna say, yeah. It's so cool.
Are we good? Anyone have any last minute questions? We will always be present to answer questions in the YouTube comments or social media comments in the future as well. For those of you watching this in the future, so give us a shout. Let us know.
Thank you guys if you stuck around. I don't know if we're going to be back for Spiders After Sunset anytime soon, just because of how much we have going on. But
I've been telling them we're so back.
I don't know what y'all. I don't know.
Okay.
We can just turn it on.
On the plus side, I got a Belfry female, and my LP is now 23 years old.
Damn.
Holy crap!
And you see, we could hear that, and they might not have ever done anything for that animal, and temperature-wise, like photo period, like it could have been in a closet, in the dark. I'm not saying that's the case. This is an example. Well, we hear that all the time. That's awesome. Very good. That's awesome. But
yeah,
it
your
doesn't.
information has been interpreted as like kind of implying that you're doing a disservice to your spiders by not providing this, and that is kind of how we feel.
That is how we feel, but
still, it's just like, I don't know. The evidence is in front of you.
Yeah, yes.
Welfare, like we said earlier, welfare is a spectrum.
And that's okay if you don't want to do it, but to say that they don't thermoregulate, they don't benefit from these things is just incorrect, right? So, and and that's okay. But I love that. I love to hear that animals are 20 years old, 15 years old. Like that's awesome. Like, because realistically, they probably live longer in captivity than their wild counterparts, you know. And I think there's something to be said for them. And we hear that all the time. I think that's great. So good on you guys if you have animals that are that old.
Everything for it.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
we love you guys so much. Thank you for listening to us ramble. Hopefully Casey gets his butt in gear and gets these in packaged and gets them out to us. $25 for this, guys, is freaking
That's
awesome.
excellent.
That is like, give me 100. Just kidding. Maybe 20. I'll probably buy 20. Just to have them all on a rack. You know what I mean? These are dope.
Earlier, Rob had said, suppose you could use it as and when needed. I mean, the price isn't breaking the bank.
Yeah, we do not use basking wells like this all year round. It's very seasonal and it's circumstantial. Like, is the animal brooding? Is it the warm season? Right, like because we still have LEDs over our animals that do get warm.
O-ring.
This is blowing O-rings over here. All right, guys. Let's call it. Love you guys. Stay tuned for the next one. Don't know when that's going to be.
Maybe next week. I'm going to try to convince them to do next week.
I'm busy. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.